when I'm getting to the bag, ayy. Got the foot on the gas, pedal to the metal when the lane moving fast, ayy. Let them all cross. If they hate, then let them hate and make a bigger boss, ayy.
This episode is brought to you by SPI Logistics, the premier freight agent logistics firm in North America. For over 40 years, SPI has been diligently building the most successful freight agent network to provide first-class relationships for our shippers, receivers, and carrier partners. We are more than another transportation network. We are a dedicated team of professionals united by one singular purpose, and that is to expedite our agents' success. All of our agents are set up for success on day one, as they are provided with a full suite of support staff that is ready to assist them with everything from after-hours emergencies to financial and administrative needs on a no-fee basis. This way, you can focus on continuing to grow your business. There is no financial risk to start, and you have the ability to earn up to 75% in commissions. If you are looking to take control of your financial future and build your business with the backing of one of the most successful logistics firms in North America, visit www.spi3pl.com to learn more. Do me a favor and let them know that the Freight Coach sent you.
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? We are back. We are live. It is the Freight Coach Podcast, the top podcast in transportation, coming to you guys every single weekday, 8:30 a.m. Pacific, 10:30 Central, to break down some industry headlines. But most importantly, you guys provide some actual insight into what you can do with all of this information. If this is your first time tuning in, welcome. This is the real side of freight, ladies and gentlemen. And I say that before every single show. And what I mean by that is I only speak with transportation professionals, because at the end of the day, I want to talk to the right individuals who have done what you're looking to do or who are currently doing what you're trying to achieve. So you can take that information, apply it, utilize it, and see a meaningful difference in your business and your life. Happy Monday, everybody. I got a very special guest for you guys here today. I'm going to bring him up in about 5 minutes because I got to do our favorite news segment that we've got rolling out here, you guys. It's called This Week in Freight, powered by DAT. And again, this is all 100% viewer-submitted lanes. I'm not going to tell you guys what to quote, but I'm going to show you how I personally assess a lot of these lanes that we move every single day to look for the stability markers. All right. Like, there's a lot of talk about the fringes, the rapid rises and declines, but I can't go to a customer every single time there's a market shift and be like, hey, I got to go do this, I got to do that. I have to find the stability point of it and try and keep it there for as long as possible. So today's lane that we're going to be breaking down is Plant City, Florida to Des Moines, Iowa. And normally, if you've moved freight at all, you know outbound Florida is historically loose capacity and not that great of paying loads out there unless it's produce season. And this one kind of, when it came in, I kind of thought I had it all in my head on what we were going to be talking about. But this lane is like, I would say it's on a very upward trend right now, specifically for drive-ins, because if you go back and look at the March of 25 mark, it's at 1521 is what it was paying. And now, right now, within the last 7 days, we're almost pushing $2,100. So it's like, you got to look at it from this perspective. If you've paid attention, and we're going to kind of talk about this a little bit on the show about, late produce season out of Florida, because they've had some crop issues due to some freezes and everything. Is this direct correlation tied into Florida in regards to ELP? Because they have been very well publicized on really, really hammering that. And then diesel prices over the last couple of days have shot up some 80, 90 cents a gallon here since the what's been going on in Iran. So it's like, I look at a lot of this stuff, and this is the information I would be going to my customer with if I was moving this specifically for a drive-in. I would be talking, everybody knows what's going on from a current events perspective, right? I don't think it's like, obviously, if you're in a spot market, you're very good because you're doing truck in hand. You might be doing it like that. But if you're going out there and trying to contract these rates, and I'm going to use air quotes on the contracts because not everybody operates off of an RFP, but it's very wise of you to go in and, again, find that mark where you can give them the exact same rate for as long as possible on these lanes. And this is something that we personally do, albeit flatbed. We do this because it's a lot easier for their executive team to plan this stuff out if we can hit them at the same rate. But I would say this lane in particular, again, I want to see how the entire month of March performs, but I would say this lane is jumping a little bit earlier than it normally does. As you can see on this graph here, you guys, May is like peak time. So this lane might be going for over $3,000+ in peak produce season here, because it's not moving on a reefer, the dry van market is definitely affected buy this. And then if you follow the produce curve that comes along with it, it's going to eventually bleed into Georgia and the Carolinas as well. So it's like if you're moving any freight inside of that specific region, you guys, I would definitely start paying attention to this a little bit more closely than in the past. Watch your capacity, watch fuel prices, because that is inevitably going to have an effect on the overall freight market when it comes to rates. And if you're going out there and explaining any of this to your customers, that's how I would take it. Here is how my business is personally approaching this over the next couple of weeks. I still think it's too early to tell on a rapid rise in fuel prices sustaining at that level. I think with how things go, it could be over in a couple of days. But by the end of this month, if nothing's changed, I will be having that conversation with my customers, specifically if there's no fuel surcharge added into any of these prices. So if you're running this lane, I would start thinking about how you're going to approach your customer, because it looks like this market has shifted earlier than it normally does, as you can see on the trend line here. And this is where I would want to come in and talk to my customer about it. But again, I would want to wait a couple more weeks just to see if anything changes, because I hate to rush to stuff and then it end up costing you, because like just the way things are right now, everything changes at like the drop of a dime. So Plant City, Florida, to Des Moines, Iowa, I would argue this is the beginning signs of a market shift. But again, I don't want to go to my customer just yet. I want to wait a couple more weeks, but I would definitely start paying attention to this. But then the broader produce push, if you're moving produce freight out of Florida, Georgia, the Carolinas, as it goes up that beltway, I would expect to see some higher prices. But as always, you guys, that's This Week in Freight, powered by my friends over at DAT. If you want your lane broke down on the show, email my team, podcast@thefreightcoach.com. I don't need anything other than the shipping city, delivery city, and the trailer type, and we can go from there. But speaking of trailer types, speaking of specifics and niches and everything, we're going to talk about the reefer market as a whole here, you guys, and what's kind of going on out there and how this change might be a little bit different. And I have my good friend Kyle Kottke with Kottke Trucking back on the show today. Kyle, thank you so much for taking the time to join me this morning.
Thanks for the ask. Glad to be with you.
No, I'm looking forward to it. And it's, I try with all the guests that I have on, I really want to get people who are like actually in the trenches, running real trucking companies and brokerages and in a part of it. And I mean, you and your family are the epitome of it. You guys have been in the industry for a very long time, multi-generation, multiple facilities. You guys got a facility in Florida. So it's like, as we're kind of coming up into the produce belt, like what are things looking like from your perspective right now, Kyle?
I would agree. The beginnings of a market turner here. Now, I don't play spot market, so I'm 97% contracted. So it takes a little longer for me to see it. But there are definite signs that more conversations are now about capacity rather than rate. More conversations about specific needs, and the horizons are shorter. So I would agree with that. While I'm not a dry van guy, I do know where Plant City, Florida is. And yes, a lot of berries are not in the marketplace in March like we're used to, but I'm hearing that the early stages of sweet corn will start in April this year rather than March. So the produce is delayed, but it still will have its season down there.
How are you going to your customers when, like we're kind of seeing a lot of stuff going on out there, specifically, drive-in and refrigerated in regards to tightening capacity, fuel prices, obviously, I mean, as you know, spiked exponentially here over the last couple of days. How do you approach this to your customers? Are you kind of hey, let's wait a couple more weeks to see if anything changes so you're not maybe going in? Or is this one of those things where you advise like, hey, I would start talking to them about this like right now in the event this does continue to drag on, we might have to have a different conversation?
The vast majority of my freight is priced by freight plus a fuel surcharge. Mm-hmm. So what's going on in Iran worries me a little more about the fact that usually oil shocks result in an economy slowdown, more so than it does about near-term pricing of freight. So I think you got an interesting dynamic, that you got interesting layers of multiple things taking place all at the same time. So if you set the war aside and you look at the marketplace, I'm already talking to my customers, and we're already laying that map. There's a lot of refrigerated truckers that are hurting, and it's going to take rate increases to just get them above water. So all of that being said, those markets are well known, and now the capacity is getting to a point where it feels that we're at an equilibrium on the capacity side. So add all that up, and if you haven't had your first few conversations, you might want to draw yourself up a script, because I think you should. If you haven't, you should be. And if I promise you, I'm in that marketplace having those conversations.
I look at this because, like you were saying, that you guys are contracted for the most part, fuel surcharge. And, I think a lot of people want to get to that point, Kyle, right? Like that's there's a lot of great that comes along with, hey, we're going to give you 100 loads a week to move, hypothetical conversation. But I look at it is what is a misconception that a lot of people have of like the expectations of, hey, when you're in a contract, like if rates go up, that doesn't necessarily mean they're going to go out to a rebid. You might have left money on the table. How do you kind of balance that out?
That I've been terrible on this side of the market during my entire career, so I'm not sure I'm the guy to ask on that. The honest truth is, I want to be into a fair economic marketplace to the point that I feel I can make a fair return, and wherever that market is, I'm a little less concerning about that. So putting that in an analogy, if it's baseball, I want to hit a single or a double, and I don't want to be in a home run or a strikeout scenario. And I think I share that fairly well with my customers during that time. So I think that's that. So the guys that can't get a fuel surcharge, the beauty part of social media in today's day is there's a lot of people on your side of the fence that have never been through a trucker bull market.
Right.
And now you're watching people complain about the guy that asks for an extra $50 because he's got to pay for fuel. And heck, some of them are even getting very specific that he only should have asked for $21.38. Well, at the end of the day, supply and demand. I mean, regardless of where the fuel market is, don't overlook the fact that I have a truck, you need a truck, I think it's worth X, and it just becomes an open negotiation at that point. And I find that as I age, that used to terribly bother me. That got personal to me.
Yeah,
it's not personal anymore. I mean, the reality is supply and demand will control that marketplace. And you referred to golden age of trucking, I believe, and I do believe we're lining up to be a fantastic spot to be able to own the tractor trailer and control the driver. It just feels like that market is returning, and it's been a long time. So
I think the last like bull market for trucking, for assets and a driver market that you're describing here, Kyle, I would say it was probably like 17 was the last one I really, really saw. Like, because I'm going to unpack a little bit here about what you're saying, because I agree with what you're describing there. There are a lot of people who are giving out opinions right now that have only been in a surplus capacity market. They've never had to beg essentially somebody to deadhead to go pick up their load at $1,000 loss just to service their customer. It's very, very evident out there. And, again, everybody's perfect on social media. Oh, we never do this. Of course you don't, right? Because you've clearly never moved freight before.
I've ran into that wall so many times, my friend, that I don't even believe's in my vocabulary anymore.
No, and that's it. And I look at it as, I'm pretty much coining the term here, Kyle. There's a lot of selective capitalists out there. They only believe they deserve to make money. And I look at it is like, as a broker, it's my literal job to bring consistency to my customers. Consistent pricing, consistent capacity. Capacity is the one that always wins, because I've had customers come to me who are like, hey, this is a hot shipment. Get me a truck. We don't care what it costs. I've never been able to fill that equation without having a driver show up to pick up the load, though. And, again, I was that hotshot broker at 25. I had the world figured out, and then you go through a couple of market shifts and you're like, oh, okay, it's a lot easier if I balance that out and find the right truck for it. And then again, overpay them when I can, so they don't overcharge me when they can, and it's really about finding that balance that comes along with it. But I think like, I don't want to go as far as saying like a perfect storm, but I feel like the amount of attention that is being the light that's being shined on our industry right now from Washington, D.C. This is the most active Department of Transportation I have ever seen coming after a lot of things that I think a lot of us have kind of noticed along the way. And, I don't speak for everybody, but like, I feel like the general sentiment from my seat is as an entrepreneur, this is all I'm asking. I'm just asking for an equal playing field. I don't want any special handouts. I don't want anybody to get any special handouts, though, because if somebody out there is able to operate in a manner that can undercut a legitimate operation without repercussion, what do you think is going to happen? I just want standards in place that equal the playing field, and then that gives everybody the opportunity to go out there and build their American dream.
You hit the nail on the head. And anybody that's in the world of owning assets and moving that side would embrace you and hug you, because all we ask for is that the person that we're competing against has the same defined rules and expectations of them. I can't tell you how many times now, granted, I only play in that spot a little bit, but if I got to go fill the last truck of today, I'll see a load posted for 700 miles and the broker's asking for 23-hour service. Well, I mean, it takes an exact set of perfect circumstances to make that happen. The reality is those type things have gotten more and more common until maybe recently they're now starting to diminish again. And exactly what was taking place with that. That was somebody that was overlooking hours of service, duty status, and things of that nature, and doing it. And frankly, at the end of the day, their cost of operation, if they're going to run hot, is cheaper than mine. So we agree. If we've got a standard law that we should follow, let's follow it. And if I don't, kick me. And if they don't, kick them too. I mean, the reality is we're at that spot. And what it's done is it's artificially, if you look at the last 6 months, especially in the refrigerated market, we're losing too many good guys because we haven't allowed to take care of them. I mean, I've got too many friends that are on the sidelines that should be in this industry, and we've allowed them to exit. And I mean, I make that sound slightly worse than I mean, but they've exited for many reasons, but mostly because it wasn't amplitude to be able to make a profit, no matter how they turned.
Yeah, and it was, to me, it's if there's laws that are in place, why aren't they being enforced? Like nothing that is being spoken about right now is like a new thing. Like there are a lot of things that it's just now they're enforcing it. And it's like, again, it's like how I look at it is how much, you brought up a really good point. How many great operations are now out of this industry because that you just can't compete? How do you compete with somebody who artificially works their logbook and doesn't pay their bills and everything, and they can just go out there and they get as much money as possible for as short as possible? And then what do? They just, turn on the lights or shut off the lights with company A and turn on the lights for company B. They reincarnate overnight, different placards. And again, it just like, it almost, I feel like for the legitimate operations that are out there, it's almost, you got to be thinking like, why is it even worth it? Is it even worth going through all of this stress anymore to try and build this up if people are going to be allowed to not have to follow the same rules that I do? And I feel like there's just a different classification of operators out there, because like from my perspective, as long as you're doing everything right and above board, I don't care if you're a non-domiciled CDL. If you're paying your taxes and you're doing everything that we're doing and you're operating under the right pretext of the law, so be it. I think that that's a different argument than having a visa and a non-domiciled, I think it's two separate arguments that are being blended right now.
I would agree.
But it's like, I look at it is as long as you're above board, do you, right? Like go out there and make the industry better, because I know a lot of phenomenal operators in this industry that just happen to be born in Eastern Europe that are over here. They work hard. They do the right thing. They're just trying to make their slice of it. So that's one thing I wish the current administration would do a better job of, like, stop muddying the waters entirely, because I feel like it's making it harder for people we want driving down the road on our freeways.
Our industry has a slug population of every demographic there is, including white male Caucasians.
Yeah.
And I couldn't agree more. There are legitimate, fantastic, there's legitimate Indian population in California, and there are illegitimate ones. I mean, so I couldn't agree more. We don't want to blur that. We want to make sure that we don't become demographic specific in what we do. I know just because of having a Floridian base, I get significant different ethnicities to my population of drivers. So I couldn't agree more. And frankly, I also have 5 daughters, and 2 of them can drive. And the things that we're seeing going on in the mostly illegal, I shouldn't say mostly, highly publicized on the illegal side, should stop. I mean, I want my daughters to be safe. I want your family to be safe. So I think we're going down the right road. We just got to be careful on our next steps.
Yeah, no, I agree. Right. I feel like the line is simple. It's criminal and non-criminal. Like everything else, like that's where we got to start. And it's like, if we want to refine it as it goes, that's a different conversation. But I look at it is that, there was some of these current laws that are coming down, like specifically in regards to the driver classification one, because like the old, it's essentially the easy way. It's the AB5 thing, right? Like the independent contractor. Do you think, or have any of your customers started to maybe relax the whole requirements to move their freight thing? And I'm going to say it from like a tracking perspective, because that's one thing that in a couple of articles I've broken down here, where it's like, hey, you might actually be liable in the event that there's a fatality with your freight on there, because if you required X, carrier complied, something happened, did that, so it's like, I've seen a couple of those things. Is that really being talked about at all?
Not at my level. No. Yeah. Remember, I'm probably 90% capacity driven, 10% logistics, warehousing, things of that nature. So most of our stuff is very much driven to our level. 90 years of business. I mean, I've got every plugin that you can imagine. So I haven't seen a ton of that. Now, I mean, there's much more educated people that can tell you the importance of a few of the lawsuits that'll settle here in the near term to what that actually means. I truly believe we'll exit 2026 with more clarity on the questions that you've had.
Yeah, I do too. It's, I think it's like in today's social media world, everybody's got to be first to have an opinion on stuff. And, I like to tend to take hey, let's just wait a couple of days. Let's let some more information kind of come down the pipeline. And, I think like we're, again, to kind of go back to the whole perfect storm thing, I think that there's a lot of stuff that could really fundamentally change the landscape of how this job is done by the end of this year. If everything, I think the only thing that we got on our side is DC moves at the pace of molasses in January. So it might be a couple more years. But I look at it is no matter what, the fundamentals of this industry are always going to be there, and it's like, it doesn't matter what the head, there's always going to be something. I mean, like you said, your family's been in this industry for 90 years. I'm sure you guys got a binder of things that have happened over those 90 years that continue to come about. How do you advise people in today's environment, Kyle, to like, hey, quiet the noise, focus on your internal 4 walls, and like things will eventually work out?
I just the way you said it. The reality is my directors get together 4 times a year, but we turn our focus on what we're going to execute amongst us rather than, I mean, yes, we try to stay aware. Yes, we try to, we don't want to get caught not understanding the market either. But, if you're in the world of trucking, take a deep look at what works and what doesn't. And in the world of early AI and analytics and things of that nature, I mean, it's relatively inexpensive to go find your worst freight and address it. Frankly, it don't matter if you've got 5 trucks or 200 and whatever the heck we've got. We're doing that too. I strongly encourage you to, we run a 20-60-20 process here. So I know what my best 20% is. The middle 60 kind of rides until it shows up on one end or the other. And I know what my worst 20 is. And that don't matter if it's freight, drivers, personnel, lanes, anything of that nature. I know what falls into those buckets, and they should too. The better you handle those things that are really close to your center, the more that the external things may actually matter. And if you don't take care of your internal center, the external things won't matter at all.
Yeah.
So yeah, we very much talk about controlling the controllable.
I think it's like probably the most overlooked thing that I see right now is, I mean, we fall victim to that as well internally, right? Like, I'm not going to sit here and say that we don't pay attention to what's going on, but like ultimately, I know that at the end of the day, if we can't communicate to our customers, like we're done, and that's where it's like our biggest thing is good, bad, or indifferent. Our customer's going to know what's going on. We might not want to be delivering that message. They definitely don't want to be getting it, but they're going to be aware, because I think if there's any common denominator I've taken away from being in this industry for as long as I've had, interviewing as many enterprise level shippers that I have on this show, the underlying thing, no matter what is communication. If something's going wrong, you need to let us know. The sooner you do, the sooner we can come to a solution. And I think that for some reason is still a massive hurdle for a lot of operations.
It is. And frankly, on a bad day, we're talking about it too. About what we've missed, what we should have done better, how it is. We got an exception log. So we talk about where balls dropped and what it is. And frankly, most of the good customers in this marketplace, all they want is that. Now, frankly, I mean, you still got to deliver, but if we're in a world that has failure, especially transportation, so managing it with communication should be step number 1. And then to your point about fuel, bringing fuel back into the conversation, I terribly feel sorry for the small operators, because number one, it takes a really good balance sheet to be able to carry what's going on in fuel today. Because I'm going to bill you a fuel surcharge, you're going to pay it to me in 30 days, but I'm going to pay for the fuel in about 48 hours. And there's a lot of people closer to the industry than I am on some of that stuff. I think we're going to see a lot of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 truck people that, if we don't see a direct resolution to the fuel world, watch them park their trucks for a period of time in here.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. I think that there's a compression in this market, depending on how long any of this stuff drags on. I think there's a compression from that perspective, the 1 to 5s. And then I also look at it in the brokerage community. Like, once this happens, I want to be clear. I don't want anybody to go out of business, like, at all, but I don't know if there's enough people who actually comprehend what a carrier market is. And customers aren't, it's so easy to be like, oh, we'll just ask our customers to raise your rates. Oh, will you? What if the people you're competing against don't have to, because they got enough cash to burn? So it's like there's a compression point that's going to happen here where brokers' margins are going to reduce in this next swing. Whether you want to admit it or not, that's naturally how it goes. And I don't know how much it's going to be able to be sustained at a long time out there before you might start seeing some brokerages start closing up shop here in the next 12 months.
We're talking about third-party credit risk already.
Yeah. Dang.
It's legitimate. I also happen to believe that the through the evolution of when the assets will drive the market, that the slick freight broker sales guy, his adjective changes to the fact that he's got to either become niche or fit a market or fit something, rather than being the guy that's at the bar at Food Shippers buying everybody drinks, because it's just not going to work like it used to. And remember, I have a brokerage, so don't come kick the guy who's on both sides of the fence here. I'm just speaking for what I see. And that market is already moving. I mean, I walked out of almost 40 meetings at Food Shippers, and what I heard is I'm looking to move more of my third-party freight back to an asset-based provider.
Yeah.
So that whole condensed market of where they operate, it changes. And you're right. The guy that just bought the Lamborghini and shouldn't have because he's got it on payments, he might struggle a little.
Yeah. I agree with you, Kyle. And this is why I love having guys like, you on the show, because you've always just delivered reality. And I feel like no matter what, people need to hear from individuals who are in that seat and they've seen these things happen before. And this isn't a dancing on anybody's grave style situation. This is just legitimate, you guys. This is how it is going to be. And, again, yes, I have advertisers for this show. I'm very fortunate, but I'm not trying to sell you guys anything other than this is what I've seen firsthand, and you got to be prepared for it, because if you're not, there are more seasoned vets in this industry who are going to crush you from a service perspective alone, because they know how to navigate this stuff. So Kyle, thank you so much for your time. If you guys are hiring, put that out there for people to find you guys.
You got it, my friend. Good news is I don't have many.
Are you guys hiring drivers or anything like that right now?
I have 3 available trucks out of 210 this morning. I just jumped out of that meeting. I am, for the first time in a long time, I'm fully seated on a non-driver basis.
Let's go. I love it. Well, Kyle, thank you so much for your time. Love to have you back on here at some point, but that's going to be it for today, ladies and gentlemen. As always, if you got value in what you heard and you're not subscribed, subscribe to the show, you guys. And if you're feeling ambitious, rank it on iTunes and Spotify, because if you see value, your network's going to see it as well. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys, and we'll be talking to you soon.
Came back with a bang, window down, yelling out money, anything. Hey, ooh, got the foot on the gas, pedal to the metal when I'm getting to the bag. Hey, got the foot on the gas, pedal to the metal when the lane moving fast.